It is Thursday, the 27th day of January 2022. Hello there and welcome to News Tonight. First though, let's have a look at our top stories.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Its Parliament pays tribute to late Professor Mutebile. Lands Minister Judith Nabakoba launches construction of US-made roads in Lugazi municipality. The 31st March deadline for unregistered fishermen access on Uganda water bodies. And in sports, Uganda draws lessons from Cameroon as Africa Cup of Nations goes on.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
Hello there and welcome once again on Sign Language. It is Elizabeth Nakakoni and I am Rukide Edward Kiijanangoma, and let's get started. Parliament has paid tribute to the late former governor of Bank of Uganda, Professor Emmanuel Mutebile, in a special sitting to honor the contributions of one of the fallen drivers of economic growth in Uganda. The MPs unanimously asked the government to support the family of the deceased Mutebile, especially with a place of abode. Now, the session was chaired by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Anite Amongi.
The death of the former governor of Bank of Uganda shocked the nation in the morning of Sunday, 23rd January 2022. Professor Emmanuel Mutebile, who was described as a great pillar in the economic recovery of Uganda since the 1990s, died from Nairobi Hospital in Kenya. Parliament of Uganda, through the Prime Minister Robin Anabanja, who was unanimously seconded on the floor of the House by the Leader of Opposition in Parliament, moved a motion to pay tribute to the fallen hero.
Professor Mutebile lived out his full potential as a versatile economist, a nationalist, and a Pan-Africanist.
Our senior citizens who have served this country with distinction and honor deserve to retire honorably and enjoy many more years of their lives in retirement.
Professor Mutebile, having drunk from the deep wells of economists, members of Parliament who are economists made descriptions of a man in him who distanced himself from corruption and greed.
I remember when he decided to close National Bank of Commerce, which formerly was Kigezi Bank of Commerce, that was begun by his friends, the Rugundas, the Vamangas, the Surumas. Definitely he ought to have been one of them, but he decided to close it because it did not meet the requirements of Bank of Uganda.
Even when he signed on the legal tender, even when he presided over Bank of Uganda, he did not have greed.
MPs hailing from the Kigezi region say the late Professor Mutebile spearheaded unity and could sit and chair at the center of any disputes in the Kigezi region.
Had never associated himself with politics of identity. He always focused on politics of interests and legitimacy for the good of the people.
Bukoli County Central Member of Parliament Solomon Sirwanyi proposed an amendment in the motion to include a consideration of government to follow up on the welfare of the late's family and appropriate property, especially a befitting home, to the family.
This property or home should be for the family led by the widow.
So I really support it, and it should be not only for Professor Mutebile, but it should be for even other people. And it has to be a standard way of, appreciating.
And the widow said, when Professor was about when the contract was ending, he asked the husband, where are we going? and he said God will provide.
The late Professor Emmanuel Mutebile will be buried on Sunday 30th January 2022 in Kabale district. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gwitabinji, UBC News.
Now to matters pertaining to land, where Lands Minister Judith Nabakova has told the political leadership of Buikwe district to embrace teamwork if they are to foster development in the district. Nabakova, who was in the company of Minister in the office of the Vice President Diana Mutesingwa, officiated at the groundbreaking ceremony for over 2.5-kilometer US mid roads in Lugazi municipality. We have more in this report.
The municipality is one of the latest beneficiaries of the World Bank-supported project, which is run by the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urbanization. This Thursday, the Lands Minister Judith Nabakova, flanked by a woman Member of Parliament for Buikwe District, also the Minister in the Office of the Vice President Diana Mutesingwa, have inaugurated the last bunch of road construction project in Lugazi municipality. The Uganda support to municipal infrastructure development is stretching beyond road construction.
For street lighting, we have installed 203 solar lighting points.
The over 8.5 billion project is being carried on by Sterling Construction Company.
When the Market Road 1, 2, 3 are done, with all the lights and things, our roads, you have seen them elsewhere. We expect that maybe people will be working transnight.
However, according to local leaders, the municipal location has greatly burdened its economic development.
Lugazi Municipal Council is in between an area of business investors.
The event was graced by, among others, area political leaders and religious leaders.
You find schools that were handed over to teachers or to head teachers when they are in good condition. You go there and as if they expect the minister, the area member of parliament, the LOC5 always to be there. I also want to add my voice to thank the government of Uganda for this kind of initiative in our district.
Today we are here, ladies and gentlemen, to recognize the achievements led by His Excellency the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Ssabalwanyi.
By now, I believe you are all aware of what USMID is all about. It is premised on the need to uplift municipalities.
In company of State Minister in the Office of the Vice President, Diana Mutesingwa, Nabakova rubber-stamped the government's commitment to foster such development.
I want to thank the government of Uganda, the NRM government, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who has changed the face of Lugazi municipality, because if it wasn't for the government, I don't think we'll be getting these services.
I want to conclude by committing my staff through the permanent secretary to provide the necessary technical supervision and continue monitoring to remove any bottlenecks that may constrain the implementation of this program.
The take-home message by all the attendants of the occasion to Lugazi and Buikwe community is a collective responsibility to monitor and appreciate such development projects. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Now, a number of social and economic facility projects are set to be commissioned in Sebei and Bugisu sub-regions as Uganda marks the 41st Tarehe Sita Day. It is a day when the National Resistance Army attacked Kawamba military barracks on the 6th day of their liberation movement. Vice President Jessica Alupo, who presided over the launch of the week-long activities at Mbuya military barracks, supports the idea of having Uganda's liberation history recorded. Henry Okrut with more.
And so it is official that the country is ready to observe the 41st Tarehe Sita celebrations. A number of social and economic facilities are set to be commissioned as part of the festivities. According to the National Political Commissar of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, Major General Henry Masiko, this will be the focus of the celebrations.
The activities in our concept include light engineering works, And these commenced on the 27th of December, and the reasoning being that by the climax of these Defense Forces activities on 6th of February, the projects would be ready for handover to the users.
It is an event that is meant to remind us, as UPDF, our responsibilities to the people of Uganda.
Present at the launch was NRM Secretary General Richard Todwong, alongside other ruling party officials.
The relationship between the party and the army plus the government is a triangular relationship. There is the NRM, the party, the NRM, the government, and the NRM, the army. So we are a trinity.
To academicians, however, it is not just about celebrations, but making sense of the celebrations.
Serve your country first, serve your people, serve the people under your leadership next, and serve yourself last. This is the patriotic ideal. We should not be only embraced by the army, but even some of us, or if not all of us, who are in other positions of government.
The earlier we write our history the correct way, the better. I hope you understand. Some will be removed from the shelves, but some will survive. Because there is where we put books and they can never be removed.
Such argument is what Vice President Jessica Alupo is in total agreement with.
You, the UPDF, have been tried, tested, and found to be worthy in terms of securing and giving peace to our country and in the region. That one, there is no doubt about that. So I would like to thank you for that and encourage you to continue towing the same line.
Alupo describes the upcoming activities as timely in highlighting Uganda's liberation history and projecting the country's development agenda.
Uganda is a landlocked country, but we are not complaining. That's what God wanted us to be. Now what we want to do is take advantage of being landlocked, turn it to be landlinked. So that when we look this side, DRC is ours. When we see the other side, South Sudan is ours. In terms of friendship, partnership, relationship, they can come and sell their products here. We can go and sell our products there. So I would like us to have that bigger picture, especially when we are deliberating with issues of national interest.
Tarehe Sita Day is observed every 6th of February by the Uganda People's Defense Forces. It is a day they attacked Kabamba military barracks, becoming a landmark in the country's liberation movements. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Thanks, Henry, for that report there. Now, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has lauded the Congolese government for partnering with Uganda in finding a lasting remedy to insecurity caused by the Allied Democratic Forces, the ADF. Mr. Museveni, who vows to write on past experience of defeating insurgency, describes the ADF as a small problem whose solution has already been found. Now, this was during celebrations to mark 36 years of liberation, where he called upon African nations to come together to fight external aggression. Henry Okrut gives us more.
What if Idi Amin had not forcefully taken power from the first Obote government?
Idi Amin wasted our 8 years.
Where would Uganda, East Africa and Africa as a whole be?
But we would have been very far.
These are some of the questions whose answers President Yoweri Museveni had on his fingertips as he officiated at the Liberation Anniversary.
Those who...
As he inspected the day's parade, he was thankful for the cooperation accorded to Uganda by the Democratic Republic of Congo in fighting ADF.
These children, these young children who had joined the ADF, they had got spoiled. 20 years killing people, looting people's things. You can imagine In Congo, that part of Congo, people there are very hardworking. They grow cocoa. They grow cocoa, among other things. So what was happening all these years is that when the cocoa would be ripe, the ADF would come and chase people and harvest the cocoa and sell it.
Museveni partly blamed such insurgency on the collapse of the East African community in the 1970s, a shortcoming he further blames on Idi Amin's bad leadership.
And it was moving well with Mzee Obote, Mzee Kenyatta, Mzee Kaunda. Actually, Kaunda was about to join the East African community, Zambia. Even Somalia had applied. Now Idi Amin comes in. The community breaks up completely. So after 16 years of now having sorted out all that problem, that's when we come and bring back the community and so on and so forth. Now, DRC has now come in.
It is because of the urge to overcome such shortcomings that Museveni wants African countries to have a unitary voice in countering external interference.
The problem in West Africa started with the attack on Libya by the people. You remember I talked of some people on the inauguration here. I talked about some people who couldn't listen to Africa. They attacked Libya, and all the terrorist groups which were in Libya now spread out. In the whole of what they call the Sahel, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. Now, I would like to really invite the African people, leaders, to sit down and we exchange views on how to build strength in Africa. We have some experience here. We can share it with others. Otherwise, what's happening now is going to take us back.
In so doing, negative international media forces, especially at such a time of fighting COVID-19, will also be overcome.
What was amazing for Al Jazeera and BBC was that in the lockdown, the only thing they were talking about were children who got pregnant. Bambi, these countries are really in trouble. They have got so much poor leadership. You pity them. What sort of people are these? People are dying and we're just talking about only this one. And they don't bring out that Uganda, because of the lockdown, they succeeded in minimizing the death. They don't talk about.
Celebrations to mark 36 years of liberation and NRM in leadership were held at Kololo Independence Grounds in Kampala. A number of people were awarded with medals for exceptional service, including the brain behind Covidex, Dr. Patrick Ogwang.
I feel very good for the love by Ugandans.
Henry Okurut, UBC.
Everyone who contributes something, they can.
News Tonight will now take a short break, but we'll be returning with business and much more. Do stay with us.
Sasula school fees mu bwangu ddala ng'okozesa MTN Momo. Nyiga *165 *880# yingizamu student code eyakuweebwa essomero. Ojja kulaba erinnya ly'omwana, ekibiina kye ne ssente z'obubanjibwa. Yingizamu omuwendo gw'ogenda osasula. Yingizaamu PIN. Ojja kufuna obubaka nga bukakasa nti osasudde. MTN Momo. Nyangu yeesigika ate tesumbuwa.
Everywhere you go, MTN. For an event as big as the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations, you can't afford to miss out. So where do you go when you want to have a full AFCON 2021 experience? You go where everybody goes. When you're looking for the vibe, you go straight to the source. So if you want to have it all, go all out for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations with GoTV. Catch all 52 must-watch games live on SuperSport on GoTV. GoTV, love it.
Ooh. The thing goes clink, clink, clink. Ooh.
Grab an ice-cold bottle of Pepsi Max today and drink to your bold lifestyle. Enjoy maximum taste with no sugar. Now available at a shop near you. Maximum taste, no sugar.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Hi Uganda, East Africa, Africa and the world. Welcome to the Belaisi auction market where we're selling different items through auction. You can bid for the item you desire, right? Go back to the Bajaj CT125. Tell us how much you want to pay for this bike. You can say, me, I'm going to buy that bike 500,000 shillings. If you are the highest bidder with your 500K, we shall call you here on UBC. You come with your 500,000, pay it in cash, drive away with your motorbike.
With my Airtel 4G smartphone, you get to enjoy free 1 GB data valid for a month and 100% bonus data every month for 3 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. This includes free data spread over 3 months worth 86,500 Uganda shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 Uganda shillings only. Visit the nearest Airtel shop and get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Raising voices.
As a teacher, I have the opportunity to shape how children grow and learn. I believe in creating a non-violent school where children feel safe and respected. I promise to lead by example and create a different kind of relationship with my learners, one that helps them grow.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay, FlexiPay or Bridge Schools. To pay school fees using FlexiPay, dial *185#. Select option 6 School Fees. Select option 3 FlexiPay. Enter the school code. Enter the student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Welcome back from that short break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. Let's talk some business now. And unregistered fishermen are likely not to be allowed on Ugandan water bodies after the 31st of March this year, following the intensive operations of conserving fish in all water bodies of Uganda. State Minister for Fisheries, Helen Adoa, says registration and licensing started on the 1st of January this year and will end at the end of the month. And whoever will not be licensed by then will be barred from operating on Ugandan water bodies.
August 2021, government embarked on registering fishermen on Ugandan water bodies to regulate fishing activities and conserving Uganda's aquatic life. The State Minister for Fisheries, Helen Adoa, has given an update on the registration process across the country.
To the lake, you need to be licensed. Anyone who is not licensed will not be allowed, and you will be illegally fishing.
Among the terms of the registration exercise is a limit to fishermen on certain species as per the license given. These conditions are believed to be tight to observe.
Registration, application, vetting, an issuing of license for Lake Victoria species specifically, or specific species licenses are issued, and those within areas will be required.
Minister Adoa reminded all stakeholders to take part in the exercise not later than 31st of March this year. Failure to adhere, fishermen will be blocked from all fishing activities on all water bodies of the land.
Compromise, we are going to arrest, we are going to impound any vehicle carrying immature fish.
The decrease of aquatic life in water bodies attracted the government in 2017 to deploy the military to fight illegal fishing on all waters by revoking Cap 197 of the Fishing Act 2010. Abdul Nasir Lowama and David Asimwe for UBC News.
Now, on Tuesday, the 25th of January 2022, President Yoweri Museveni launched the Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa brand, and it is aimed at rebranding Uganda for tourism growth. Now, most of you did not get a chance to watch that event, so let's have a look at that launch by President Yoweri Museveni.
Uganda's highly anticipated launch of the Pearl of Africa brand has finally taken place at the Kololo Independence Grounds and graced by President Yoweri Museveni. The launch of the tourism initiative is one of the many strategies being implemented by government to stimulate the demand from both existing and new markets to drive faster recovery of the sector that has been badly hit by the COVID-19 pandemic.
So it's a very, very nice place, but it needed a group to talk about it, to inform the world. And that's what, from what I can see, the Ajarova group are really determined to talk about.
At the launch, sector players received assurance from government that tourism is still one of the top priority sectors for the country, despite the dwindling revenue due to local and international travel restrictions that have kept potential visitors away from the tourist attractions across the country.
Before COVID-19 pandemic, tourism in Uganda was in a strong and positive trajectory, leading in foreign exchange earnings, accounting for 7.7% of GDP and 6.3% of all formal employment in the country. The disruption of COVID-19 pandemic greatly affected the tourism industry.
If Uganda is the pearl of Africa, what pearls does it have to offer for each of the travel segments and preferences? There have also been several efforts by different players to create awareness at various levels with various levels of success, but there has been a lack of single-mindedness messaging and or in the interpretation of what constitutes the Pearl of Africa.
Before the coronavirus outbreak in 2019, Uganda had set a visitor target of 2 million in 2020, a target that now needs aggressive marketing and branding to achieve in the near future. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Sports news now, and the 2021 Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations has entered the knockout stage. Now, though Uganda wasn't part of the 24 nations that took part, it has representatives in various capacities in Cameroon. Now, this included State Minister for Sports, Hamson Obua, who spent just a few days but returned impressed by what he saw. Let's take a watch.
When Cameroon failed to host the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations, many wrote off its abilities for a tournament this big. But now, a few years later and amidst a pandemic, this football-mad country is pulling off one of the best ever tournaments.
But there is a free kick here for Comoros with 10 minutes remaining to play for Machanga Youssef. It's dropping! Oh, my word!
Quality of football is unmatched, and on some of the best facilities, making this enviable by many, including Uganda that plans to emulate.
They have managed to put 5 regional stadia that are not only of continental stature, but they are of international standards. They are approved by all the global bodies, be it CAF, be it FIFA, be it IAAF. They are all approved and they are at international level. So, for us as the Republic of Uganda, that is something we can learn from Cameroon, that it is important, it is imperative that in this new millennium, we invest in sports infrastructure. There is no doubt Uganda is a sporting nation. Sports is our product. Sports is our brand. We need to only trigger in terms of the missing link and the missing gap, and that is sports infrastructure.
John Barnes, Centum, reporting.
Good stuff for him.
To rowing now, where Uganda's first ever rower at the Olympics, Kathleen Grace Noble, has advised local competition as the only avenue to grow the sport. Noble was speaking ahead of this weekend's Noble Rowing Clinic to be hosted at Kisubi Beach along Entebbe Road. John Barnes Sentamu gives us more.
Professional rowing clinic organized by Uganda's first ever Olympics rower, Kathleen Noble. This Noble rowing clinic due this weekend will attract members of several clubs, including Maroons, UPDF, and Kisubi Pirates.
To have really good athletes, you have to have many different athletes within the country that are competing against each other and that are part of clubs and are proud of their club and want to represent their club and for their club to be the best club in Uganda. So my focus is really going to be on trying to develop the local rowing scene rather than putting a focus on qualifying people for the next Olympics.
Noble has, through her GoFundMe project, raised money to enable this clinic take shape, with the hope that more Ugandan women will pick interest.
So my hope in this camp even is to try and especially focusing on women in rowing, because Uganda has very few women that row. And this is true more broadly in Africa. There's a lot less competition at the moment, for the positions for women right now. And I believe that we have women in Uganda who would be strong enough to qualify.
To ensure the clinic is a success, Noble and Uganda Rowing Technical Advisory Board started with renovation of the available boats, including that on which she learnt sculling many years ago. But rather bizarrely, as Uganda suffers from lack of equipment, a consignment of professional boats is languishing at Uganda Revenue Authority's stores.
From my understanding, its URA is about 77 million Uganda shillings. And for storage, I think we are approaching about 50 million now. Yeah, and that's the damage that we're up there. So we're over 100 million that our federation cannot. I mean, if we're depending on goodwill, we cannot pay taxes, we cannot pay storage. So we need the government to step in. And my appeal to the government is sports in Uganda should be exempt from taxes.
The clinic is expected to have 55 participants who will acquire practical skills that will benefit them once regattas are organized by the Rowing Federation. John Barnes, Sentamu, reporting.
And that brings us to the end of this first edition of News Tonight. Elizabeth Nakakoni has been on sign language, and I am Rukidi Edward Kiijanangoma. But do stay with us, because in a bit we shall be hosting Honorable Tom Mutebile, the Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, and we shall be looking at the Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa brand that was launched recently by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Stay tuned.
Pay school fees conveniently using MTN Momo. Dial *165 *80 hash. Enter the student code provided by the school. It will show you the student name and the class plus outstanding balance. Enter the amount you want to pay. Enter PIN. You will get a notification confirming payment. It's simple, secure, and convenient.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Hi Uganda, East Africa, Africa and the world. Welcome to the Belaisi auction market, where we're selling different items through auction. You can bid for the item you desire right now. Do you see that code on your TV? Load airtime, dial that code, select your preferred item, and you are in to the Belaisi auction. Now, we've been telling you that we have a brand new Bajaj motorbike. What is so special about this bike?
This is the CT125 Bajaj. It is our new bike at the moment, which is taking the market by storm. It has got a gear display. It has a fuel gauge.
No more flipping, no more tilting. You know the fuel that you actually consume.
It also has an electric start and also a kick start. The seat is very comfortable, and not to mention it's also 5 gears.
Go back to the Bajaj CT125. Tell us how much you want to pay for this bike. You can say, me, I'm going to buy that bike 500,000 shillings. If you are the highest bidder with your 500k, we shall call you here on UBC. You come with
every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth, in the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay, FlexiPay, or Bridge Schools. To pay school fees using FlexiPay, dial *185 hash. Select option 6 School Fees. Select option 3 FlexiPay. Enter the school code. Enter the student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Welcome back, and you are still watching UBC TV, and it's time now for us to have a chat with Honorable Tom Mutebile, who is the Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. Remember that on Tuesday, the 25th of January 2022, President Yoweri Museveni launched the Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa brand, and of course the main gist of that drive is to rebrand Uganda for tourism growth, and that is the topic that we're going to be discussing tonight. Honorable Minister, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening.
Yes, Honorable, probably there is something that you would like to tell Ugandans before we even get into this discussion. It is your floor.
Thank you. Really, what brings me here is to inform the country that we now have a tourism destination brand for Uganda. It was unveiled, as you know very well, on the 21st of January at Kololo, ceremonial grounds, by the President himself. And that tourism brand is a result of a very, very intensive study which took place for a period of time. We discovered that tourists stay in Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda longer than tourists who stay in Uganda. And for us, that was a very, very important indicator that maybe we're not doing very well. So we discovered also that we had no, what I call, a unified destination brand identity. We were talking about the Pearl of Africa, Visit Uganda, Gifted by Nature, isn't it? So we never had a unifying destination brand identity. And therefore this study helped us to examine the Pearl of Africa itself. You examine it. Professor, I think Kakoma, the one who composed the national anthem. For him, he's talking about the pearl, isn't it, of Africa's crown.
Yes.
So he had a very, very interesting point there. So for him, he's discovering that there is a pearl, but in a crown of Africa.
Yes.
Now, we had to create a new understanding, and we want the private sector, people of Uganda, and the target customers to bring them home and now narrow and understand, to capture their minds, okay? With a new captivating brand destination identity. And we said, instead of visit Uganda, well, you can visit for 2 days and go. But we thought that visit Uganda and stay, as you either tourists can stay longer in our neighboring countries. Visit Uganda and stay. Okay. So therefore, when you come, explore.
Okay, not just visiting.
Not just visiting, explore the country. Don't just stop at Para and Machishon Falls and you think you have finished. That's a visit.
Yes.
But it's not an exploration. It's not a real tour. So if you come and visit Para, if you visit the Machishon Falls, remember, there is Bwindi, there is Mugahinga, there is Queen Elizabeth. There are these lions on trees, isn't it? You know,
Yes.
the tree climbing lions. So come explore. And so we narrowed down ourselves and said, explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. So that now is going to be our new destination identity. We want to sell it to the people of Uganda, sell it to our targeted market in Europe, in Asia, in the Americas, isn't it? So that when you come, you are not just visiting. You have come to explore.
Exactly.
Uganda. And that's why we are pleased and really very happy that the entire press, the entire fraternity, isn't it, was with us on that day. And the president was very, very gracious, he said it, to have launched this destination identity, and we think we're going to succeed. So I can stop there for the time being.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Honorable Minister. Very, very interesting, because you talk about so many good things, especially like, tourists should not just come and visit the country, because when you just, as you said, you stay in the hotel, you just see the nearby places, but you're not, toured the country. So that is a very good initiative, and we do hope that even Ugandans can also, take time off their busy schedules and go visit their country, because it feels bad for someone from, Europe to come and explain so much about your country, yet you don't know it. And I think, Honorable Minister, that is something very good that you did. Now, of course, this is something that when you see the head of state coming to launch it, it shows that it is very, very important for the country's development. But also, Honorable Minister, now that it has been launched, what should we look forward to after this launch? Of course, by Ugandans and also the international community, especially the tourists who should be coming to visit our country.
We now have to educate the domestic tourist, the tourist of Uganda, that there is a new brand, isn't it? And this new brand, apparently, COVID-19, for research purposes, COVID-19 apparently did inform Ugandans that, look, never expect tourists to come only from outside.
That's true.
There are tourists here in your own country, and therefore learn to survive by yourselves, isn't it? And the United Nations World Tourism Organization, in their research findings, they found that tourists go to their regions, regional tourism, isn't it? In other words, the British will go to Portugal, he will go to Spain, isn't it? The French will go to the United Kingdom for a holiday. So that is regional, Europe now, isn't it? Yeah. Germany to Spain, Spaniards to Portugal, Portuguese to France. So it's going to come to a time when Nigerians will have to come to Uganda, isn't it? And when Ugandans go into the middle income status, once we reach there, you'll have a lot of Ugandan tourists, isn't it? Going to Mozambique, isn't it? You arrive there, you find a group of 50 Ugandans in Mozambique, isn't it? Enjoying themselves, because now we shall be among the haves once we reach that. So tourism in Uganda, tourism in Africa is going to be regional, isn't it? So we shall, apparently, the largest number of tourists who come to Uganda are Kenyans. Did you know that?
Yes,
Kenyans.
Yes,
Kenyans,
according to research findings.
Absolutely, yeah. Kenyans, they're the ones who come here. So Kenyans are very important to Uganda in terms of tourism, isn't it? So therefore, we shall have domestic tourism. We have to invite our friends in Africa, isn't it, to come and tour. We have to do more campaign awareness, isn't it, attraction.
Yes.
In the diaspora, isn't it, in Europe, in the United States of America, but with this new brand now, and we have to spend, isn't it? We have to spend so that we can attract. So we have to sell this destination identity, this brand now, so that we can now attract new, isn't it, enthusiastic tourists to come to Uganda. And I have no doubt that Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa, isn't it? It will catch fire, isn't it?
Yes.
And I'm sure that we shall have huge numbers of tourists beginning to come to Uganda.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you.
Very good. You're talking about something that has actually been, discussed in the press and other platforms, and that is domestic tourism. Because many Ugandans actually have been saying, no, it's expensive for them to visit these tourist destinations within our country here. Probably, Honorable Minister, you could tell Ugandans, tell them if you, as a ministry, as government, have done something in order to ensure that domestic tourism thrives, and by that I mean, have you lowered the fares that these people should pay to visit the tourist destinations?
Apparently, our friends, the private sector, isn't it, does not seem to appreciate that the hotel rates, isn't it, are very, very high. Very, very, very high. We were in Dubai the other time when we went with the president for the Dubai Expo.
Yes.
A hotel room is just $100.
And that is in Dubai.
And that is a 5-star. That is Dubai, 5-star. Here, that kind of hotel would be about $300, $400, isn't it? So here we are very, very expensive. But we shall engage. We shall engage our
especially
friends.
the private sector.
The private sector. We shall engage. Actually, we'll have a meeting next week. We shall explain that it is the volume. It is the volume of tourists. These are the numbers that make the money. Not necessarily the amount of money you get per customer, isn't it? Not necessarily. But we shall engage and explain, and I have no doubt that we shall find a way of how we can convince the private sector that it doesn't really pay to keep the hotel rates very high, but it pays if we bring them down, but get volumes, numbers of tourists.
Thank you.
Especially Ugandans are not very rich people. So if you take him to a 4 or 5-star hotel in Uganda, and you ask him to pay $300 per night, isn't it?
That one cannot be. They can't afford.
He cannot afford, yes. He cannot afford.
And also the other thing, Honorable Minister, is the fact that they feel paying in dollars is also another big thing that they cannot afford. Is there any way
that's very high.
Pay in our local currency?
No, they can pay. You can pay in local currency. That's not a big deal. That's not a big problem, but still very high. But we shall engage. We shall engage. We shall explain, and I'm sure we should find a way of agreeing.
It is good you are talking of engaging, and that is the way to go.
Engaging, of course, that's the way to go, because it's not a law. You cannot say, I have decided this. No, it's a business, yes.
Yes. You've just joined us. This is UBC TV, and we are looking at Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa brand that was recently launched by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And with me in the studio is the Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Honorable Tom Mutebile. And let's look at something else that probably, Honorable Minister, you could shed more light on. Recently, a tourist was actually killed by an elephant in one of the national parks here, and it brings into the spotlight the security of tourists in the country. What are the measures that are in place that ensure that tourists are safe from being hurt by these animals?
Well, my condolences, of course, go to the family, the people of Saudi Arabia, because this tourist was coming from Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
And the government of Saudi Arabia. This is a very, very, this is the Machishon Falls National Park.
Yes.
A very, very isolated incident, apparently. And, but of course, Uganda Wildlife Authority immediately issued a statement.
Yes.
We didn't hide. After all, why hide if this unfortunate incident
took place,
has happened and took place? We are still investigating, and if we find that Uganda Wildlife Authority was negligent or the tourist did not understand the character of a wild elephant, isn't it? Because the elephants can be quite aggressive.
Oh yes, oh yes.
They can be very aggressive. And once we narrow at the answer, isn't it, what exactly happened, we will come out and explain. And if we are capable, if we find ourselves that we're in the wrong, isn't it, we will
you'll act accordingly.
We will act accordingly, according to the law. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs, of course, is aware. So he's engaging, isn't it?
Yes.
Fortunately, we have the Saudi Arabian embassy here in Kampala. So, but it was a very unfortunate incident. It shouldn't have happened, and but we shall handle.
Okay.
But my apologies, definitely.
Definitely.
Thank you.
And of course, probably one thing that visitors should know about these animals, they can also be very rowdy. They can attack you if, for example, maybe you go close to them. And there are laws before you go to visit. I think wherever you happen to be in the hotel, you're told that you're going for this, maybe a raid in the park. But this is what you should and you should not do so. Indeed, apologies.
But these were between Masindi and they were in the park.
In the park.
In the park, yes.
Yeah.
So they hadn't reached the new bridge, isn't it? The new bridge to cross.
Yes.
Yeah. They hadn't reached. They were right inside the park, isn't it? And right inside the park there was no Uganda Wildlife Authority personnel, isn't it? Because that's that's a huge territory, very long, isn't it? Long and wild.
Exactly.
Okay, so you can't say where was Uganda Wildlife Authority, isn't it? Because it was in the middle of the park. If it was at the gate, isn't it? Or if they had been attacked in a tourist vehicle, isn't it? Which is basically monitored, isn't it? By the Uganda Wildlife Authority, then that would be a very serious matter on the part of Uganda Wildlife Authority.
Yes.
But this was in the middle of the park, traveling, somebody came out of the vehicle, isn't it? Not knowing that where he was coming out of the vehicle, in the vicinity, isn't it? There were these elephants grazing, isn't it? But let me not really go back to that because,
exactly. Let's wait for the investigations.
Very well.
But thank you so much for shedding light on that. And Honorable Minister, time is not our best ally. Probably your last words in as far as, first of all, this brand, rebranding Uganda, because that is, we are looking at rebranding Uganda for tourism growth. Given the fact that we're even coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, and also to give hope to Ugandans, especially in as far as wildlife is concerned and tourism generally.
Well, thank you. First, to thank you, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. When I was a civil servant, I was here. So I was head of national broadcasting here in this place. So I'm very happy to have come back here. But to thank the press really, because I think every Saturday there is something to do with wildlife, isn't it? In the papers.
Yes.
And Uganda Broadcasting Corporation has a lot of interest in tourism, wildlife affairs.
We've also got our flagship tourism show here, and it's called the Pearl of Africa.
Precisely. So we are really eternally grateful. But to assure Ugandans, let us explore this country, isn't it? And you don't have to have a lot of money, isn't it? You can go to a place which is not very expensive. But let us participate in exploring our country, participate in discovering this pearl, isn't it? This pearl of Africa,
Yes.
isn't it?
Such a beautiful country.
Such a beautiful country. And let us not leave it to the, to the non-resident tourist, isn't it? As I said, that United Nations Tourism Organization says it is regional tourists who bring about tourism. And it is Ugandans who really will hold and manage, improve and develop tourism in our country. Of course, plus our brothers and sisters in East Africa, in Africa. But of course, as usual, the non-resident tourist is most welcome.
Exactly.
And I encourage our people to take interest in our country. This is a very, very, very beautiful country. I'm saying this not because I'm the minister, isn't it? But I'm saying this because the country is just beautiful.
And Ugandans know it.
And Ugandans know it. They know it themselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Honorable Tom Butime. And Via, we've just been looking at the brand Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, that was launched recently by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and Honorable Tom Butime, the Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, has actually been shedding more light on what that drive or brand is supposed to help in as far as promoting tourism in the country is concerned. Thank you so much for having been part of this talk show. My name is Edward Kiijanangoma, and I will be coming back later on to have you with me for our second and final edition of News Tonight. Stay tuned. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you.
Beautiful this, our land truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here. In the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's what you feel in the gentle caress of tropical wind from the mountaintops. And the glow in your heart from a warm neighborly invite. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Qualified, professional, and compassionate doctors talking real solutions to real health problems.
it's a new virus and we don't know much about it yet, but
it's everywhere. It doesn't make a sound. The person next to you, even you yourself, could actually have it. This is a highly infectious agent right now, and as we have seen from this second wave in Uganda, it's highly transmissible.
COVID-19 is going to be with us for a long time, and we need to prepare to live with it, and living with it requires that we comply with the SOPs. It requires that we vaccinate, and when treatment, which is definitive, comes on board, we embrace it.
For infection to happen, there has to be someone who is vulnerable and someone who has the disease.
the spread is mainly by what we call droplet infection. But for purposes of our viewers, I'll simplify it as you cough and then the sputum or what jumps and falls on the person in front of you, the one you have coughed to. That is one of the methods, especially passing through the soft tissues, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So that is one of the commonest.
The droplets, because they contain some bit of water, they are relatively heavy. So when you cough, it can move just about a meter. Okay. So they will drop down when somebody coughs.
And then somebody comes and touches here and then contaminates his fingers. And then later he touches his face, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So, and then he gets it.
The main reason why this lockdown, including also the social distancing, is implemented is that we stop this action, that I am unable with my infection to infect another person.
You stay where you are
with stay where we are
until you recover.
And two, from the time I am infected, it takes, usually the symptoms develop 2 to 12 days after. And during this period, I am more likely to spread this disease. But from the time the person is infected, within 2 to 5 days, that person can actually spread the disease, whether with or without symptoms. Now, depending on how good your immune system is, your body may control this infection and you may not show any signs. You may not fall sick.
They may not. So there are people who can get the virus, but they don't have signs.
They may not have signs. The body controls it, fights it, and it passes away. Or you may just have a period where you feel unwell a bit, but it may pass away.
It goes away.
It may go away. But it may also have mild symptoms. So like the usual flu, you may have a sore throat, you may have a cold, your nose may run, you develop a cough, and some fever, and it may end there, just like the other flu.
Just like that.
Appears to be slightly different or different from the other types of flu is that its likelihood of causing a higher fever, causing a dry cough, and then invading the lungs and causing difficulty in breathing. That person
so
feels
like a pneumonia.
Yes, like a pneumonia, like you just fail to breathe. You really struggle to breathe. And many of the people who are dying is because of the breathing complications which they do get.